Go to this now. As we continue our coverage of the shooting of former Hard Living's boss Rashied Staggie, we take a look at what the community can expect over the next few days, and some might say weeks and indeed months. Joining me now for more on this, a community activist, policing forum member, Roegshanda Pascoe, who has kindly agreed to come and speak to us this morning. Roegshanda, thank you so much for coming in. Now, many people who watch the news might know your face and know your voice as a very active member of the Manenberg community, leading the Manenberg Policing Forum there. But the last year or so has been a very different year for you. It's this year in which you've had to live in a place of safety because you've decided to make your voice known, to become a state witness in a case involving a young man in your community that was assaulted, eventually dying as a result of his injuries at the hands of local gang members. Give us a quick idea of why you decided to do that.
So first and foremost, I did it because it's my community, and when these killings transpire, like it have transpired during the day, for one, the gang also sends a message out and wants to instill fear in the community members, and that for me was not on. Because I raised children in Manenberg, I grew up in Manenberg, and gangsters to a certain extent has never went so far in Manenberg as to what happened that specific day. And because of that, I had to take a stand and say, no, I'm not okay with it. I'm not agreeing with what you are doing. And yeah, it was not an easy step, and life was never easy after that, because then I found that even to a certain extent community members respect these gang leaders. And so me as an activist can speak the truth, but necessarily because of what they have endured over the years, the truth does not have value within their lives.
Because there's that complex relationship between gang members, gang leaders, and usually in communities that are poor, unemployment is a problem, social ills take place, there's a vacuum of leadership and for young people to look up to. So there's almost this complex relationship between these gang activities that make life hell for its communities, but at the same time they might give food to families, they might give employment to young people to do eventually illegal things. It's difficult, isn't it?
It's difficult, and then we should not forget this point, that these gang members, they are as human as we are. It's my neighbor's child, it's my sister's child, it's my brother's child, and that is how the relations are. It's very deeply rooted. And so you tend to wonder, why is people not speaking out? After yesterday's episode, I think what struck me is the fact that people forgot that Rashied have a family, he has children, he's a father. I don't know if he's a grandfather. To a certain extent, I'm not sure. I speak under correction. I think his mother is still alive. What is she been going through after the many years of bad publicity and hearing all these things about her son? A mother stays a mother. I've seen it in my community when a child is being shot and killed, and although the parents did not condone it, the pain is so deep.
Now, we've seen the killing of a high-profile member of the Hard Living's, Bully Tips, on Thursday in Mitchell's Plain. Then the killing about 24 hours later of Rashied Staggie in Salt River. Now, those who don't know the mother city, they just think that's all the Cape Flats, and it's not. It's a very complex network, isn't it? Many people remembering that after Rashied was killed so violently and publicly, there was a spike in gang revenge killings. What are you hearing, and from what you know, are you expecting the same after what we've seen happen since Thursday?
In Manenberg as such, I think there's a form of mourning. In the other areas, in Mitchell's Plain, where it's been spiking, there was a great surge up yesterday where more people died very quickly. And so you see that retaliation happening in Mitchell's Plain. And I think that for me is a great fear. I think the other thing for me is where we have to see that all police from different areas had to go to Mitchell's Plain to assist and contain the situation, and it means that other communities is suffering, and it does not mean that the retaliation is not happening in the other communities. We must know the hard livings have this spread out of in all the communities on the Cape Flats. Their rivalries are also there sharing the space, and so every space on the Cape Flats become a form of danger zone now for most of our people. That is for me, how are we going to address this? Are we seeing the disaster that it can have? It's school holidays. Our children will not be able to play outside. I welcome the fact that Rashied's brother asked for stability, calmness. Let's respect the death. Because why? We're going to lose a lot of innocent people. That is my fear as an activist that does not know an inch of what is happening. Clearly, it's a thing between the gangs, and if high-ranking men are taken out, retaliation happens. They go to retaliate, they're going to take revenge, and in gang code, it is the blood must be picked up of this person. And so that is the things that, I mean, I've taken to equip myself with the knowledge to understand how these things work and be more prepared when things happen in our communities.
And indeed, terrible things that you never want, especially young people and families, to have to prepare for. Fortunately, we have to leave it there. Roegshanda Pascoe, community activist, Policing Forum member, very well-known spokesperson for the most vulnerable, who are the ones who suffer the most when we see what's expected to be a spike in gang warfare, as it were, and unfortunately a trend that we've seen when these kind of killings have happened before. We thank her so much for her time.